Hello and welcome back. Today's video is going to be about my top 5 best cool toned neutral eyeshadow palettes. I'm very excited about this because I'm definitely getting more into cool tones. This was a very popular trend years ago, but somehow for the last 3 to 5 years, so many palettes that came out were warm toned neutrals. That was a huge trend. It still is, honestly, and I don't even have that many cool toned neutrals in my collection, but these are really great and I wanted to share them with you. I feel like in a lot of ways, cool tone neutrals are actually a bit more universal than warm tones. I have warm undertones and I feel like I can wear both. I do feel like I look a little bit better in warm colors, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Anyway, I really love these palettes and I wanted to share them with you. Also, if you're interested in my eye look, I did film this and that should be up already. I will link in the description box and let's get into this video. These palettes are in no particular order. The first one I want to talk about, this is my newest one. This is the Pretty Vulgar Nightingale eyeshadow palette. I think this is about $36. I got this as a free gift for signing up for BoxyCharm, actually. And I was so surprised. I had no expectations for this palette and it's so good. I really enjoyed using it. As you can tell, there's some kind of silvery type shades here. This brown is actually pretty cool toned, a bronze, you know, some darker colors. This is a very smoky palette and I really enjoyed using it. Let me show you a couple swatches. Here's a couple swatches from that palette. As you can see, the metallic, so metallic. This color is really pretty and this dark brown is really nice. This one, I will say, out of the palettes I'm going to talk about, this is one of the most dark smoky palettes, and you know, so if you're into dark smoky tones, I think you would really enjoy this palette. And you have some basic shades up here, like a champagne light color, a matte shade, and then like a very light matte shade that could help blend things out. So yeah, I am really impressed with this one. If you want a really dark, smoky, neutral, cool tone palette, then check this out. Next up is a palette I've talked about before, and that is the Milani Soft and Sultry. And I really enjoy this one. This is more affordable. This costs $15-ish, but some retailers it does cost up to $20. Depends on when you buy, where you buy it, you know, because it's a drugstore brand. And this one, again, kind of some similarities to the last one, but it doesn't have those bluish silver type colors. This is all just like browns and taupes. But these mattes blend so easily. These metallics are super metallic. And yeah, this has some lighter shades and quite a few light matte shades. So again, kind of depends on what you're looking for there, but I love the quality of these Milani palettes. I feel like I've talked about them a lot. I have this one and the Bold Obsessions, and both are some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes ever, and they're so affordable and the packaging is so nice. So let me show you some swatches of these. So this one is more of a bronze. Here you have a very dark cool tone brown, and this is more of a taupe. These are so metallic. I don't even need a wet brush. This color may be my favorite color in the palette. And yeah, this one is super nice. Again, similar to the Pretty Vulgar, but this definitely has more light shades than that one does. And it's cheaper, you know, and maybe more readily available, I guess, depending where you live. I like both of them, but yeah, this is such a good one and the price is right. All right, you know I had to talk about this one. This is the Anastacio Sultry palette, one of my favorites in my collection. This one is a bit different as, you know, it has some more variety. You know, you have the very gray color here. You do have a bit more of a warm brown there. And you do have these kind of slightly warmer bronze shades here, but you also have this pink here, which is a cool tone pink. And that's one of my favorite eyeshadows of all time. And then there's this random coral shade, which honestly, I don't use. I've used it a few times and I don't like the way it looks. It makes me look a little sick. And I don't really like how it works with the other shades in the palette. Therefore, you know, for me, that one is a dud. But everything else in this palette is truly fantastic. This one, I think you do get more variety. I think this is $45. This is technically limited edition, but it's still available on the Anastacio website, but it's not available at Sephora and Ulta anymore, which is really disappointing. But This is more expensive than the other two, but I do think you get more variety. I really like the Anastasia formula. It's a bit more powdery, definitely more powdery than the other two palettes, and the shimmers can be a bit crumbly, and I do think these shimmers do need a wet brush. The other two palettes, they really don't, but for this one, I think they work much better with a wet brush, which I don't mind. I often do that anyway, but yeah, this one, I think you get more variety than the other palettes. But yeah, this is one of my favorites. Obviously, I've hit pan on multiple shades and I've talked about it a lot on my channel. Let me give you a couple swatches. Here you can see there is more variety. This is Cyborg, that super awesome silver. Has a bit of lavender in it. This is that rose color that I love so much. So as you can tell, this is more of a gold bronze. So that one is more warm toned, therefore you do get more variety. And this matte cool toned brown twig, this is one of my favorite shades in the palette. It is so beautiful and blends so easily, and it just looks really, really good. Yeah, I really love this palette. This is one of my favorites. I've talked about it a lot. I think it's worth it because you do get more variety than some of the other palettes that I'm talking about. And I love the Anastasia formula, but like I said, I do recommend a wet brush with the metallics. Let's talk about a tried and true here, Tartelette in Bloom. And if you've been watching my channel for a long time, then you know this was my Pan That palette in 2018. And I've hit a lot of pan on it and I really enjoyed using it. This one is also a little bit different, as here you get more of a matte pink, and this also has some pink in it, and this is more of a burgundy. Therefore, you know, this one I think is a little bit different. This shade Funny Girl is not my favorite, and that's kind of like a warm champagne. But most of the palette does lean more cool toned. These mattes here, this is pretty much a gray, and then this is like a metallic gray. This is more of a neutral bronze. I really, really like this palette. Like I said, I don't love Funny Girl, but the rest of the palette is beautiful. The mattes blend so easily, and these two metallics I think are really good, but they also do work better with a wet brush. As far as Tarte goes, I usually do like their mattes more than their metallic shades, but yeah, this is a really, really nice palette. And this one I think is around $40. So a bit more expensive, but you get also a lot of eyeshadow in here. I use this every day for an entire year, and this is as far as I got. So yeah, let me show you some swatches. All right, here you have that grayish metallic. This is the bronzy one, and then this is a matte brown. This one is not as pigmented. You do have to build it up more, whereas this one is quite pigmented. But yeah, I really enjoy this palette. I think you do get a variety of cool tones with a couple a bit more warm shades, maybe more neutral really than warm. But yeah, I think this is a really nice high quality palette. Definitely a good one. Last up, this is kind of a bit more of an honorable mention. This palette is technically discontinued, but I bought mine at Marshall's last year, and I've seen people say that they've still kind of found it at Marshall's. I still wanted to include it. This is the BH Royal Affair palette. Plus, a lot of you may have this, so maybe a reminder to use it. This one is a little different than the other palettes I'm talking about because this does have a few colorful shades in it. Not a lot. I still consider this a primarily neutral palette, and the neutrals that you get in there are mostly quite cool toned. You know, you have a silver, cool tone matte, another more taupey shade, you know, and you also get this frosty blue, which, you know, again, that's more colorful, but this khaki green. So I think this is pretty unique as far as the color story goes. This may be one of my favorite palettes in my collection. Honestly, I really should be using this more. A lot of variety, and yeah, I do consider this primarily a cool tone neutral palette, but definitely has some pops of color. Therefore, way more variety than some of these other palettes. And yeah, I found it at Marshall's for $8. I think when it was around $16. I really wish BH Cosmetics wouldn't discontinue their palettes so fast. That's probably one of my biggest gripes with that brand. But yeah, if you have it, use it because it's good. Let me show you swatches. Obviously, you can see a lot of these palettes have very similar colors. But yeah, this is more of a silver, this is more of a taupe, this is a matte gray. And yeah, again, the quality on this, fantastic. Mattes blend easily. The metallic shades, some of them I think work better with a wet brush, but others I can get away not doing that with them. Often I do like to wet my eyeshadow brush anyway. That's just often how I do my makeup, unless, you know, it's a super metallic shade and it's really not necessary, but I do think you get better payoff that way. I thought I would just mention this one, even though unfortunately it's technically not around anymore, but I know a lot of you guys probably do have it, and it's really fantastic. Alrighty, that is it for this video. I really love all 5 of these palettes. And yeah, I am very excited that cool tones are becoming more of a trend, although I wear whatever I want regardless. But yeah, the market is overly saturated with warm tones. Therefore, I would highlight these 5 palettes that I really, really enjoy. Let us know what you think. Do you have some other favorites in this type of eyeshadow palette, or do you have any of these palettes that I mentioned? That is it, and thank you for watching.